चित्त चोर बल मारे तोरे नैना बड़े चित्त चोर काहे झूठी बतिया बनाए बल मारे तोरे नैना.
A very good evening, everyone, and welcome to Prabha Khaitan's Right Circle. I, Aarti Gupta, Ehsaas woman of Kanpur, am delighted to extend a heartfelt welcome to each one of you. As we gather for another exclusive session of the Right Circle, a cherished endeavor brought to you by the Prabha Khaitan Foundation. Today's session is held in association with our hospitality partners, the Landmark Towers, and our media partners, Dainik Jagran, and the Ehsaas Women of Kanpur. It is supported by patron Shri Siemens Limited as their CSR initiative. It is indeed an honor to be graced by the esteemed presence of well-known author, Miss Bhavna Roy. Bhavna ji, welcome to Kanpur. This session of the Right Circle with Bhavna ji will be in conversation with Mrs. Geeta Malhotra. It is wonderful to have both of you here. Before we commence, allow me to take a few minutes to talk about the Prabha Khaitan Foundation. The Prabha Khaitan Foundation, a non-profitable trust based in Kolkata, was founded by literature and cultural activist late Dr. Prabha Khaitan in the early 1980s. Her vision of working for a better tomorrow is woven in her famous words, Karm hi Jeevan hai. The foundation dedicatedly works towards widening the reach and readership of English literature, Hindi literature, and regional literature under the auspices of its multifaceted initiatives like an author's afternoon, the Right Circle, the Universe Writes, Aakhar, Kalam, and Loves. I hope everyone remembers we had Kalam as well, where we had Irshad Kamil over. Yeah? The Right Circle is one of the stellar initiatives of the foundation because it gives a platform for writers in the English language and widens its reach and readership. Notable authors get to interact about their life and literary works with a discerning audience. Music to us is an art form that is of utmost importance. Introducing the music of the month for February, Longing, curated and composed by three-time Grammy Award winner Ricky Cage. The composer has conceptualized 12 musical pieces for the foundation, each representing a different theme. Longing is a song about pure, unadulterated love in a land that is untouched by time. It is composed in a traditional Indian Thumri form with a very modern soundscape. I hope everyone saw the video invite. The music behind it, that is the longing. So there's a meaning behind everything in that invite. We are honored to have the esteemed Miss Bhavna Roy with us today, a renowned author whose name resonates in literary circles. While she needs no formal introduction, permit me to share a glimpse of her remarkable journey. Miss Roy was educated in Mussoorie, Pune, and Mumbai. After graduating in psychology from Mumbai University, she qualified for the IAS. Having trained partly at the LBSNAA, she quit and then worked first as a volunteer in a school for special children and then in an NGO in Nasik called SOS. She then tutored secondary and higher secondary students in software engineering in Mumbai. Currently, she's an author and has published 2 books, Dharma, Decoding the Epics for a Meaningful Life, and Idols, Unearthing the Power of Murti Puja. I hope you all managed to grab a copy of the Idols book. Our conversationalist for today, Mrs. Geeta Malhotra, is an Ehsaas woman of Kanpur. Besides being an Ehsaas woman, she's a successful professional in her field of work and is an eager literary enthusiast. Without further delay, I welcome both our author and in conversation with two fabulous women to begin this conversation. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Bhavna ji. We are honored to have with us Mrs. Bhavna Roy at the Right Circle in Kanpur. It was so nice meeting you this afternoon. You have a lovely smile and so much of positivity around. I'm just totally, in awe of you already. So, here we are keen to learn about your life and work. I would like you to give us a glimpse into your early journey, growing up and studying between Mussoorie, Pune, and Mumbai, and how that shaped you.
Hello, Kanpur. I'm so delighted to be here. Indeed, Kanpur is all warmth. From Aarti to Geeta ji and all you wonderful ladies that I have met over here. This hotel, Daksha, Arna, lovely people, they go beyond hospitality. I see why Kanpur is famous for its warmth. Thank you for having me here. My early childhood. We were 4 children. I was the oldest, the bully of the family. We had I have lost my father. He was a very, वो जो गाना है ना, मैं ज़िंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया. I think that song was made for my father. Because of his spontaneous character, in those days, of the 70s, he would keep getting jobs and keep leaving jobs. And therefore, the 4 of us have gone to very many schools. My mother exasperatedly finally sent us to boarding schools. कि कितने schools बदलवाएं, which landed my brother and I in Mussoorie, and the younger ones, the twins, one of whom is Amish, was sent to Lawrence School, Lovedale. तो पूना और मुंबई होते हुए मैं मसूरी पहुंची, and once I completed the 10th, I returned to Mumbai. A rolling stone may gather no moss probably, but it gathers momentum, I feel. I've had a lot of eclectic experiences across our country in my schooling as well as my life with my father. And it has added dimensions to our experience of life which are very, very meaningful and they have enhanced our existence. Boarding school too, हम लोग अपनी बच्चों की परवरिश बहुत प्रोटेक्टिवली करते हैं. उसकी खूबियाँ भी हैं और कुछ खामियाँ भी हैं. Boarding school education helped us, I think, become independent. The 4 of us. It was accidental. It was because my father kept changing jobs that my brothers and I were sent to boarding schools. But they were very precious years. We learned to fend for ourselves. We learned to pack our own bags at a very early age. Life was good.
So, what was your family dynamic like while you were growing up? Were there any particular values or traditions in your family that have had a lasting impact on you? I think a little bit was visible to me when I was talking to you this afternoon that yours is a very close-knit family. Yeah. And one thing I really liked about it was when you mentioned Rishton mein Swachhata. So I think that was imbibed in you. Can you please elaborate on that bit?
I come from a very traditional as well as a very liberal family. I think in the Indian way, being traditional and being liberal are not polar opposites. Because we are traditional, we are also liberal because our actual traditions are freedom enhancing. My paternal grandfather was from Banaras, so very early childhood was in Banaras. It was steeped in the stories of our mythology, puja path, गवालियर के पास जाके दूध लाना with my Baba ji. My Baba used to read the Sundarkand every evening near the Tulsi Ghat. At 5 o'clock in the evening, he would go to Tulsi Ghat and ऐसे ही बार बैठ करके प्रवचन करते थे. जिसे सुनना है सुने, जिसे नहीं सुनना है नहीं सुने. तो पंडित बाबूलाल त्रिपाठी जी के प्रवचन सुनने काफ़ी लोग आते थे and we grandchildren would always accompany him. I have very fond memories of my early childhood. My mother, you're right, Geeta ji, was very particular about creating very strong bonds among the four of us. She always felt that the bonds between the children are more important than even the bonds between children and parents, my mother said. क्योंकि ज़िंदगी में साथ भाई बहनों को एक साथ निभाना पड़ता है. रिश्तों में क्लोजनेस प्यार तो हमेशा होता है. बॉन्ड बनाना आई फील काफ़ी हद तक माँ बाप का काम है, स्पेशली माँ. अपने बच्चों में वो बॉन्ड बनाना कि वो एक दूसरे के बेस्ट फ्रेंड्स रहें थ्रू आउट लाइफ. I will relate one incident from my life to tell you what my brothers and I, the kind of relationship we share. I lost my husband in May 2018. And I was adrift. I was lost. It took me around 2.5, 3 years to click back into life and living and really look positively towards the rest of my life. But I'm talking about the first few weeks of, after my husband passed away. 3 days after my husband passed, my brother Anish came to me and said, Bhavna, I think you should go for counseling. And but I don't know, I don't think an ordinary counseling session is going to work for you. You should go to a counselor where somehow spiritualism meets psychology. I had become a member of a philosophy school called New Acropolis in 2011. My husband had fallen ill in February 2016, at which point I had stopped going because both of us were fighting a very large battle in life. My brother Anish said, why don't you go to your gurus in the philosophy school? The philosophy school New Acropolis was run by an Israeli couple called Yaron and Sivan Barzilay. And he said, go meet them. This was, I think, 3 days after my husband had passed away. I sent in a WhatsApp message to Yaron, and Yaron replied as if he was waiting for me to reach out to him. Instantly, he replied to me and said, come and meet us on Sunday. Now, my husband had passed on a Friday. My brother had spoken to me on Monday and the following Sunday. These are days that are etched in my memory. And the following Sunday, my 3 brothers and my sisters-in-law, they all came from various parts of Mumbai. And believe me, traveling in Mumbai is nothing like traveling in Kanpur. Like I told Aarti yesterday, that it takes us 20 minutes to probably cross 10 buildings on Marine Drive. And on certain days, this is no exaggeration. So my brothers and sisters-in-law came over. Yaron and Sivan had called me at 5:30 in the evening. They came over at 5 and मेरी सुध-बुध ही नहीं थी उन दिनों. So they took me to my philosophy school. This was 5:30 in the evening. That first evening when I was with them, I sat with them till 10:30 in the night. And at 10:30, my brothers and sisters-in-law left me and then they went away. At 10:30 in the evening, Yaron asked me, how will you go back home? Because I said, my brothers and sisters-in-law may have left, so I'll call my driver and I'll go back home. Yaron called my brother, and my 3 brothers and my 3 sisters-in-law had been hanging around outside till 10:30 in the night. And they brought me back home. That's what family is.
Actually, yes. It is, it is very, very emotional, yeah. Okay, so could you tell us about your experiences of clearing the IS exam, but then switching fields to start working as a volunteer in a school for special children in Malegaon and later in an NGO? You know, that sounds like you are midst of your training and suddenly you decide to deviate your path. So what was it?
सो गीता जी, IAS ऑफिसर बनना बचपन का सपना था और पूरा किया, बन गई. द अदर डे आई वॉच्ड, वो पिक्चर आई है ना, 12th फेल, विक्रांत मसे के, एंड I loved the movie, as we all have. I hope everyone has seen the movie. It's very, very, it's a remarkable movie. I saw the movie, and after it I was very moved. It's a very moving movie, but it did not resonate with me at all. Resonance होता है एक एहसास कि ये आप बीती है, you know, that kind of a sense. And what I was amazed by is the sheer struggle of this man to get into the IAS. Really, some of us are very fortunate in the backgrounds that we come from. I worked very hard indeed to clear the IAS, but I merely worked hard. There was no other struggle because I had a universe that supported me in my endeavor. Some people really struggle, you know, to give this exam. But indeed I did, yes, I did work very hard. बचपन का सपना था, पूरा किया. And then I fell in love. Married the man of my dreams and quit the service to live a life with my husband with no regrets, especially since I discovered that I did not have a lifetime with him. And I'm so glad that the life that had been allotted to me with him, I did not waste that time being something somewhere else. I spent it completely with him. I quit the service and then I worked in a school for special children. Actually, his first posting was, he was an IPS officer, and his first posting was this hick town called Malegaon in near Nasik in Maharashtra. And I didn't know what to do. IAS करके अब बैठ गई थी because I wanted to live with this man. अब किया क्या जाए in a place called Malegaon. So I started working in this school with special children. His next posting was as SP Nasik, where I did my computer engineering. क्योंकि अब कुछ और तो करना था ज़िंदगी में, तो computer engineering की. And I joined this NGO called SOS, which did work in AIDS awareness. For those of you who remember the decade of the 90s clearly, AIDS was a hawa, you know, in those days. बहुत बड़ा शब्द था. It has now become, of course, a chronic illness, but it used to be जानलेवा. And this organization, SOS, did work with AIDS patients and truck drivers. तो truck drivers को, of course, condoms के बारे में समझाया जाता था. But I worked in the department where, you know, very many women contracted AIDS from their husbands for no fault of theirs. So I was in the counseling department, working with these sometimes very young women. It was very enriching, that experience.
and then switching over to the writing part. It's like literally, changing phases and stuff. So then you switched over to the writing part, and so you faced a loss, big loss, around about the same time, your father and your husband. And I think soon after that, you landed up into writing. That must have been because, even when you're reading the book, and you can see the mention of grief and words and hospital. So that must have been a very difficult part of you to start writing. How was it writing, and how was it getting with your brother and getting into writing? How was it?
So, Himanshu left in May 2018, and like I have said, actually I had lost the will to live. I was drowning, and May 2018. COVID happened in 2020, and in March, we went into a lockdown. And as I said to you, really I struck gold with the men in my life. My brother Amish, you all know him. Who doesn't know him? He's written the Shiva trilogy and the Ramchandra series. He must have probably thought, he was working in London at the time. He was Minister of Education and Culture in the High Commission and the director of Nehru Center. And he must have really thought, I mean, they were all worried about me. This was over 2 years later. He must have thought, अब दीदी का क्या होगा? Lockdown हो गया है, घर में बैठे बैठे. He was really worried about me. My brother and I, we had started working on writing books on philosophy in the realm of our Hindu Sanskriti. So both Dharma and Idols per initials paid work we had done in the year 2014-15. But then of course my husband fell ill and it all fell by the wayside. My brother called me in April 2020 and said, Didi, you remember, that project that we were working on, Dharm? Why don't you start working on it? Come on, pull it out. It was a lifeline actually, that he threw at me because, I must have worked 12 to 16 hours a day. I was working like a possessed creature because I had to pull myself out, yes, and I just worked. And likhi, and then sent it to Amish. He worked on it, sent it back to me, and of course in December 2020 we released Dharma.
So my next question relates to your work with Idol. In your book, you mention an anecdote with your friend that led you to write Idol. Can you tell us more about that?
So actually, we have written about 3 incidents that made Amish and I, really write the book on Murti Puja. My experience was, a friend had come over once for dinner, and Murti Puja par baatein ho rahi thi. So she said, and we were discussing what we called idol worshipping. And she got really very upset and said, "Ye idol worshipping kya bolte rehte ho? We are not idol worshippers. हम मूर्ति पूजा करते हैं, हम प्राण प्रतिष्ठा करते हैं. And you should not say idol worshipping." It was one of the reasons why we wrote the book. Indeed, over 2000 years back, for the 4000, 3000 years back, this entire planet was idol worshipping. सब मूर्ति पूजक थे इस धरती पर. Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, very famously, the Native Americans, Japan, China, of course, Bharat. We were all idol worshippers. The Abrahamic way of life was born around 3,500 years ago. There are three Abrahamic religions in the world: Judaism, Christianity and Islam. Judaism सबसे बड़ा भाई है. It was born 3,500 years ago. And विनम्रता के साथ कहूँगी कि जुडेइक रिलीजन के जो स्क्रिप्चर्स हैं, इट इज़ द फर्स्ट 5 books of the Old Testament of the Bible. It's called the Torah. इसमें उनके भगवान ने ही कह डाला कि idol worshipping is evil, that idol worshipping is devil worshipping. अनुचित हुआ. जुडाइज्म ने तो स्क्रिप्चर्स में लिखा, जो दो छोटे भाई थे, क्रिश्चियनिटी और इस्लाम, वो ओबीडियंट थे. They listened very diligently to the eldest brother and निकल गए पूरी दुनिया में idol worshipping का नामो निशान मिटाने के लिए. Christianity actually is the original, that destroyed idol worshipping all over the world. And of course we had our own experience. And ऐसा नहीं था, they had their रीति रिवाज also. The ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead talks very very in detail about कैसे वो अपने देवी देवताओं की पूजा करते थे. The Greek oracles, in great description, they write about how their lovely gods, Zeus, Athena, Aphrodite, how to worship them, how to practice rituals. वो भी मूर्ति पूजक थे, वो idol worshippers थे. And this book, in some sense, it has little anecdotes from the other idol worshipping cultures as well. And today, unfortunately, we are the only living idol worshipping culture on this planet. Ganesh ji to this day brings tears to our eyes. Aphrodite and Venus unfortunately have stopped moving the hearts of the Greeks. In some sense, this is a tribute to those ancient idol worshippers of the world as well.
This automatically answers my next question. So you said in an interview, being comfortable in the skin of our own culture has arrived in India and it can move ahead. Can you please elaborate on that bit?
Amish has written about this in the book of the concept of the wife battering syndrome बोला जाता है इसे. It's a psychological concept. Unfortunately, oftentimes, Nandini ji, आप doctor हैं, you would substantiate what I'm saying. कि oftentimes what happens is in marriages where women are unfortunately beaten, after years of such a marriage, the woman herself starts believing that in some way I deserve it. कुछ गड़बड़ किया, I have a very good husband, he's very very nice, मुझसे कुछ गलती हो जाती है तो उन्हें गुस्सा आ जाता है. तो you start blaming yourself for your own sufferings. To some extent, 2000 years are a very very long time. And when the world itself has rubbished idol worshipping, पत्थर की पूजा करके हारी मैं हारी, in some sense एक अजीब तरह का संकोच सुशिक्षित लोगों के दिमाग में हो जाता है. दिल खींच रहा है, दिमाग पूछता है ये क्या कर रहे हैं, पत्थरों की पूजा कर रहे हैं. At one end, at its best, you may feel it is silly. At another end, you may feel it is outright, it is wrong. It's a very subtle psychological, process that sinks into you. कि अगर पूरी दुनिया बोल रही है idol worshipping is silly, तो भाई कुछ तो तत्व होगा उसमें. We have had our own unfortunate history with the breaking of our temples. I would not associate this with Indian Islam. A recent Pew Index has indicated that you will not believe it, 88% of Indian Muslims believe in the concept of karma and dharma. Amazing. Amazing. 78% of our Indian Muslims said that all religions are true. They are at odds with many of their fellow believers in other parts of the world. I would primarily say it was the Islamic Turks who came into our land, the Turks and really the Timurids, the Mongols. I think it's high time we stop calling them Mughals, we should call them Mongols. And the minute we call them Mongols, it's very clear who they were. And मंदिरों का विनाश हुआ है, पूरी दुनिया में हुआ है, भारत में भी हुआ है. Some of our oldest temples are actually in South India. More than 1,000, 1,200-year-old temples are in South India. पूरे North में you will not find temples that are more than 300 years old. 300 at most 350 years old, and this is the cradle of our culture. The Indo-Gangetic plain is the cradle of our culture. कहाँ गए वो मंदिर सब के सब? एक दौर है, and I pray dearly that this happens in एक सम्मिलित भाव से हो. And we don't land up blaming our fellow Indians for things that had happened thousands of years ago by Turks and Mongols. But yes, we are becoming comfortable in our skin. गर्व से कहते हैं कि हाँ भाई हिंदू हैं, और हमारे मोदी जी ने प्राण प्रतिष्ठा भी की. राम लल्ला वापस अयोध्या आ ही गए 500 साल के बाद. I don't think we would have been talking in this manner 25 years back.
So, are there any projects or initiatives you are currently involved in that you would like to share with us?
Oh, I would love to share this one project that Amish and I are going to start working on from May actually. Together, alone he writes fiction, of course, and together we write non-fiction. Working together. Excuse me. So I love to say this, that in any is there anyone here from the creative space? Lataji, of course, writes books. Any other person who works in the creative space? Okay. ठीक है. I would say that partnering in a creative endeavor is either impossible or it's a flow. There's nothing in between. हो ही नहीं सकता. Because creativity में हम माँ बाप बन जाते हैं, of हमारा जो creation है. And so there's a great deal of emotional involvement. तो इसमें partnering तो भाई या तो नामुमकिन या it's a flow. With Amish and I, it's a flow. It's a flow because of I'll say 3 reasons. One, because like I said, we are a पारंपरिक family. मुझसे 8 साल छोटा है वो, तो I'm a bit of a second mother to him, and there's a great deal of respect, in this direction. There's a great deal of respect, frankly, in the other direction also, because he's Amish. What Amish doesn't know about writing is probably not worth knowing. So there's a great deal of respect in the other direction as well. And finally, because of this mutual acknowledgement of my status as an elder sister and his craftsmanship, the last word actually is 10 out of 10 times as it should be his. When there is a disagreement, we talk, back and forth hota hai, and then if I am unable to convince him, hathiyar dal deti hu. Not very many. Not very many. Yeah. But to answer your previous question, we decided we will work together in 2 areas. One, of course, is the area of dharm. 2 किताबें इसमें हैं. The other is Bharatiya culture. And our next book is actually on Bharatiya culture. विनम्रता के साथ हम ये लिखना चाहते हैं, we want to introduce India to Hindustan and Hindustan to Bharat. आपने ताली बजा दी तो in some sense you understand, what lies underneath. क्योंकि in some sense इंडिया, हिंदुस्तान और भारत आज लड़ रहे हैं, एक दूसरे को समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं. हम चाहते हैं कि वी लर्न टू एम्ब्रेस ईच अदर. हम में से कुछ जो हैं वो इंटरसेक्शंस में हैं, इंडिया में भी हैं, भारत में भी हैं. कुछ जो हैं हिंदुस्तान में भी हैं, इंडिया में भी हैं. कुछ जो हैं वो सिर्फ इंडिया में हैं और हिंदुस्तान और भारत को समझ नहीं पाते हैं. कुछ भारतीय इंडिया और हिंदुस्तान को समझ नहीं पाते हैं. तो दिस इज़ एन एफर्ट टू explain us to ourselves and make us love ourselves in entirety.
We look forward to that bit now. It's been a very, very enriching, talk for all of us here. Everyone, I think there's so much to take back with us, getting an insight into your works, into your personality, and what a diversified personality you are. We have the questions open. Yeah. Yeah. We can open the questions. Anyone for any questions, Yeah.
Could you shed some light about, so not Hindu culture also? I think it's we practice Arya Samaj को बोलते हैं जो नहीं करते Avid worship. Could you shed some light about that? Because I'm married into an Arya Samaj family and we worship the element. We do Havan, but बोला जाता है कि ideal worship नहीं करते. Everyone's free to do whatever they want. There's no this thing. So I have a small mandir that grown up doing Murti Puja. But can you shed some light on that?
ऋग्वेद में लिखा है एकम सत विप्र बहुधा वदंती. There are multiple paths to God realization. Choose the path that resonates with you. This doctrine is in the essence of our way of life. My father was not an idol worshipper. He was an Arya Samaji, and he believed in Brahman. And my mother is a Devi worshipper, Durga Ma. I grew up worshipping Shivji. Strangely, very, very strangely, दिल समझता है, दिमाग को समझने की कोशिश भी शायद नहीं करनी चाहिए. During the time that my husband was unwell, for those 2.5 years, Ma pulled me to her again and again and again. Durga Ma. I would go to her temple, फूट के रोती थी, pour into her lap my dread, my fears, my terror, my helplessness, and then come back home and engage with the battle. My mother worshipped Durga Ji. Durga Ji never pulled me, except in those 2.5 years. My husband left and Durga Ma ने मेरा हाथ छोड़ दिया. She probably thought अब इसे मेरी ज़रूरत नहीं है. कृष्ण जी अब रिझाते हैं. My husband was a उपासक of Ganesh ji. Multiple paths हैं जो whatever works for you. Arya Samaj began with Dayanand Saraswati ji. I think it also began as a movement against the Rudhivadi, practices of that we had sunk into. And so it was a reformist movement. I love to say this. How many Jains over here? Any Jain over here? Okay, one. So I had gone to Ranakpur Derasar in Rajasthan last December. December before last, actually. And Jains are not idol worshippers. But in that beautiful Derasar complex, जो बने हैं तीर्थंकर ऋषभनाथ जी के लिए, there was an Amba Ma temple as well as a Suryadev temple, and Jains don't see a contradiction in that. In Japan, data says that 70% of the Japanese are Buddhists and 67% are Shintos. Wrap your head around that. इसका मतलब क्या है कि 70% है Buddhist और 67 है Shintoism. So it's possible to have one path. It is possible to have more than one path. It's possible to change your path as you experience the challenges as well as the wonders of life.
Good evening, Bhavna ji. It was very lovely a talk. She just had a question. Basically, Hinduism, isn't it a misconception that we worship idols? Because our ultimate aim is to reach Nirvana. We started with an Akar form and we reached Nirvana. So initially, don't you think that's a misconception that we are idol worshippers?
Excuse me.
Our ultimate aim is to reach the Brahman.
बिल्कुल. हाँ.
All the Upanishads talk about. We started with the Ramayana, which is absolutely basic. When you're worshipping Ram, So I think that's a misconception. I get asked the question countless times by a lot of people practicing Christianity because of the very pagan language. There are so many gods and goddesses and stuff like that. To explain to them that that's not the real reason, it gets a little bit.
So, to begin with, you should read this book. Because we have discussed this, this very thing in the book. एक प्रवृत्तिक पथ होता है, एक निवृत्तिक पथ होता है. निवृत्ति is turning in, turning within. It's away from the external. It is the path of seeking the nirakar, the formless. Pravrutti is moving outward, moving towards. Moving towards what? Moving towards what our sense organs access. So the pravrutic path seeks sakar, seeks form. अब कौन सा पथ है हमारे लिए, निवृत्ति या प्रवृत्ति? ये तो हमें अपनी अंतरात्मा से पूछना चाहिए. My mother, often used to tell us that rituals and indeed Murti Puja are like, a river of consciousness that we have to cross to reach to the other side. तो नाव चाहिए. ये नाव जो है, ये है मूर्ति पूजा, ये है रीति रिवाज. अब once you reach the other side of the river of consciousness, you don't hold the boat on your head and walk, because you do not need that boat anymore. But the trick is, Mummy used to say that if you are judging those who are still on the boat and questioning why they are on the boat, because I have realized the Nirgun Nirakar, then probably you are not on the other side. Probably you need the boat. Because once you stop needing the boat, you will stop judging.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you here. But the problem is very difficult explaining to people कि ये खाली हमारे लिए एक नाव है. हमको पहुंचना है निराकार के पास, That gets difficult to explain to people around.
I think we need to stop being apologetic about.
I was just going to, आपने मेरी मुंह की बात छीन ली. We don't need to explain anything to anyone, Yeah.
Has the Pran Pratishtha somehow made it possible to unify Bharat and India and Hindustan?
What do you think?
I think so, because it has made a difference. I mean, it has made a difference.
My heart likes to think that yes, it has to some extent unified India and Hindustan and Bharat, or we are moving in that direction. Although शाम को ये TV channels अगर आप देखेंगे तो you would start wondering.
No, but it has given a certain pride to the Indians overall, and I think that will go a long way to unify the country and the world.
Yeah. Yes. That certainly has. That certainly has.
Any more questions? Oh my God,
I think.
Prabhaji, tell me, how can we instill this sense of pride for our culture in the next generation, right? Like, I'm sure these books are a way of it. Like, so my daughter loves history. She's somehow always gravitated towards Greek history and Roman history. And and it was only when I actually introduced her to Amisha's books that she was sort of fascinated by Indian history and mythology. So what else can we do? Because I think at some level we are at a loss of what our mythology, what our religion, what our culture means, right? Like generation after generation. So any suggestions on that?
Excuse me. Let me drink some water. I think, Aarti, in one sense, I agree with Nandini ji. This is a very interesting period that we are living through as a nation. And we are finally, to some extent, coming into our own. एक चीज़ याद आ गई. I'll come to your answer. तो मैं ये बोल दूँ. There was a Byzantine emperor called Emperor Julian in the 5th century AD. In Byzantium, which is actually modern day Turkey. He ruled from Constantinople, which is modern day Istanbul, because Byzantium was a Christian nation. But before Christianity came in, Byzantium was a pagan nation. They were idol worshippers. And Christianity, of course, came with Jesus Christ and the church. And from around the 2nd, AD to the 3rd AD, this is when, 2nd to the 4th AD, this is when Christianity ran havoc all over the world and destroyed a lot of the pagan temples all over the world. This was happening in Byzantium too, But then an emperor called Julian, came to power. And he's called Julian the Apostate because Christianity अब Byzantium में छा गई थी. But Julian was a pagan. He worshipped the sun god. He was his favorite. And Julian tried very hard to reverse the wheel of time. And he's called Julian the Apostate. तो बहुत कोशिश की जूलियन एम्परर ने कि पेगनिज्म वापस लाया जाए, ये तो गलत है, बिकॉज क्रिश्चियंस थोप रहे हैं एंड बोल रहे हैं ये गलत है, ये गलत है, हमारे मंदिरों को तोड़ रहे हैं. बट ही वॉज पॉइजन्ड एंड ही डाइड टू अर्ली. And apocryphally it is said that when he was lying on his deathbed, he said that the pagan bird of wisdom will go and hide and reside herself in the east for the next 2000 years and then it will come back. Gives me goosebumps. Gives me goosebumps. But coming back to your question, I do feel children, वो बताने से नहीं सीखते हैं, वो देख के सीखते हैं. And the best way to inculcate a value for our own ways is to become what you want them to be. And not with words, but with practice. And Rijhana, the Krishna approach.
भावना जी, मैं लता कादम्बरी. उत्तरकांड के रामायण के बारे में आप क्या राय रखते हैं?
पहले आप बताइए, आप क्या राय रखते हैं?
मैं आपसे जानना चाहूँगी. ये आपका सब्जेक्ट है ना?
नहीं, आप बताइए.
नहीं, मैं नहीं बताऊँगी.
आप चाहती हैं कंट्रोवर्सी में मैं कूदूं?
ये दोनों नहीं कूदेंगे. अच्छा, एक बात मुझे खटकती है. जैसे अभी मूर्ति पूजन की बात हो रही थी, तो मैं जब मंदिरों में गंदगी देखती हूँ ना, तो मन हटने लगता है. अब जो हमारे देश का माहौल बना है, उसे देखकर एक जो भावना होनी चाहिए, हिंदू हुए इसलिए कहने का अधिकार है, तो या सड़क किनारे छोटे मंदिर जो बन जाते हैं एनक्रोचमेंट की नियत से, ये सब कहीं ना कहीं हमारे अंदर वितृष्णा पैदा करते हैं.
लता जी, I was born in Banaras, and the first 5 years of my life were in Banaras, and after that, when I was a child, तो फिर छुट्टियों में तो नानी दादी के घर जाते थे और कहीं तो जाते नहीं थे, तो बनारस जाती रहती थी. And I'll tell you that as I was growing in my initial years, I did not like Banaras at all, especially जब मुंबई कर हो गई, तो बनारस जाना बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लगता था और गंदा लगता था, ये लगता था, वो लगता था, रूढ़िवादी practices. I really did not like Banaras at all. But then in the year 2013, I went to Banaras to meet my Bua once again for the nth time. And I visited Sankat Mochan ji, I visited Vishnath Baba, and Banaras में जो करते हैं सब करके मैं वापस आई. And when I came back, I said to my husband that Himanshu, पता नहीं बनारस इस बार, and 2013. This is not post 2014. So I said पता नहीं इस बार बनारस बहुत अच्छा लगा. I was so happy to be in Banaras this time. And my husband said to me कि भावना, पहले तुम्हें हर वो चीज़ दिखती थी जो गलत थी, अब तुम्हें हर वो चीज़ दिखती है जो सही है.
जो आपका एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, 5 साल पहले मेरा जाना हुआ बनारस, सेम एक्सपीरियंस मेरा रहा. मैं इतनी अधिक इम्प्रेस हो गई बनारस से कि मैंने उस पर अच्छा वाला 20 पेज का यात्रा बताती डाला है. क्या क्या नहीं देखा.
हमें वो दिखता है जो हम देखना चाहते हैं.
Super. Thank you, Bhavna ji and Geeta aunty for this wonderful, wonderful, insightful conversation. A huge round of applause, everyone.
Just wanted to know, are you a history student or a language student? You have command over Sanskrit, Hindi and English. Of course you are a writer, so it's your profession now, but still.
Which is a study for civil services, like you know. I don't think a history or a language. Mother, this is like multifaceted, and I'm going to plug in a woman thing that only women can be so multi-talented as well. Bhavna ji, I have fortunately had the privilege of being in conversation with Amish as well, and today hearing you, I find you both have such a commonality in the way with which you speak and feel about our Indian culture and Hindu religion. You know, I think it's truly intriguing and fascinating. You both speak from the heart, and you make us want to be proud Hindus, right? Like, thank you so much for this. On behalf of Prabha Khaitan Foundation, I, Aarti Gupta, Ehsaas Woman of Kanpur, would like to express my sincerest gratitude to Ms. Bhavna Roy and the evening's conversationalist, Mrs. Geeta Malhotra, Ehsaas Woman of Kanpur, for skillfully navigating the discussion. I thank our distinguished hospitality partner, the Landmark Towers. Today's Right Circle session was in association with media partners, Dainik Jagran, and with the undying support of the Ehsaas Women of Kanpur. I would also like to extend our gratitude to you, our wonderful audience, for your active participation, engagement, and presence. Your constant support and encouragement inspire us to host more events like this. I see so many regulars, and it's so heartening. You know, the purpose of such an event was to just be a curated set of 30, 40 like-minded people who want to come and actually listen to such stories. The Prabha Khaitan Foundation fosters cross-cultural understanding and appreciation. We support artisans and their exquisite craftsmanship to express our gratitude to our patrons and guests by endorsing their products. We encourage everyone to buy products from these skilled craftsmen and to promote the sustainability and development of our handicrafts. At our events, we serve regional cuisines, encouraging our authors to embark on a culinary journey to experience India's diverse food culture. And in doing so, we raise awareness about locally sourced ingredients in the city. In today's context, we are delighted to present Bhavna ji with a handcrafted Kantha Utriyo as our token of appreciation. I would like to request Archana Khaitan ji from our audience to come and felicitate this along with our conversationalist Geeta aunty. We're all aware of Kantha, right? And it's a centuries-old tradition of stitching patchwork cloth from rags, which evolved from the thrift of rural women in Bengali region of the subcontinent and is very popular today. Before you leave, I think we've already done the book signing, but in case you haven't picked up a copy of Bhavna ji's book, Idols, please do so and get it signed. That's all for now. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to another event, of seeing you all for another event. Thank you so much, Bhavna ji.
Father